Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Cup of Joy. I'm your host, Ariana Joy Christie, and I am so glad that you are here. This is a space to inspire, to learn, to grow, and to challenge. Get ready to fill your cup and spread a little joy along the way. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Your Cup of Joy. I am so happy that you are here. And today's episode is kind of cool because it is my first real solo episode. The first episode launched was like a little bit of an introduction where I gave like a 10-minute spiel about the podcast and what it was going to look like and what it would be like. But this is actually my first real solo episode. I've had guests each week, which has been so wonderful. And it's been so nice to hear their stories and find connection through their sharing, which kind of was the premise of the podcast. And so today I get to do a solo episode, which I'm really excited about. I'm excited to chat with you and share some things that maybe I haven't shared before, because this podcast kind of came to be as I've been sharing my life online really ever since having children. And I've been really open and raw and honest about things that go on in our life, feelings that I have. And that's mostly because I feel like there is so much connection in storytelling. People can feel so much less alone when they know that they're not the only ones going through something. And I found motherhood is so lonely. And so understanding that you're not alone and that other people are also going through things like this is so cool and so important. And so I'm excited to have this solo episode and to share with you guys, because I really started sharing my life online through the journey of my pregnancy with my twins and then giving birth to them and having NICU time. But I had a whole life before that, and I haven't really shared a lot of that. And unless you knew me before then, you probably wouldn't have known a lot of these things. And what's really cool is some of the things that have happened to me or that I've done in my life have really started to come up in casual conversation with friends, with peers, with people I've met in the community, especially recently. And so I just kind of thought, this is something that is impactful to me. It impacted somebody else. And so maybe by sharing, it will open up a space for people to not feel so alone who maybe are interested in this field or in exploring something similar to this. So, dun, 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 here it is. It's not even that big of a deal. Before I was married, donated my eggs to a couple who now have a baby. Actually, she's not a baby anymore. She is a girl. And so I just want to share that egg donation journey with you and kind of how it came to be, what that looked like. And then it's super exciting because I stay in touch with the intended parents of my egg donation. And so I'm actually going to have them on the podcast next week. So you get to hear their journey through surrogacy, egg donation, and the process for them. They are the most amazing couple. I just love them so much. So before I get into how much I love them and where they are now, and where I am now, I think I want to share with you a little bit about the motivation behind donating, how it kind of came to be for me, and yeah, just how that whole journey was. And then now that they are a family, which is so cool, a family with a child. So it was a while ago. So Mike and I got married January 2020. And so it was before we got married, just before we got engaged. So I think 2018 maybe. And I was doing my casual thing, scrolling on Facebook. Facebook, I feel like, was like the primary like social media thing then. So I'm just scrolling on Facebook, and there was this petition to sign for a same-sex couple in a state where they weren't allowing adoption or surrogacy. And so this couple was fighting to have a baby because they really wanted to have a baby. They wanted to grow their family, expand their family with a child. And so they were having this petition because they felt like there were so many roadblocks for them in that state, and that's just not fair. And immediately I was like, sign, because I just reflected on my life and thought, my whole life I wanted to be a mom. I was like the kid who would have a baby doll with them everywhere. I was the oldest of three siblings, like there were three of us. And so I always looked after them. I volunteered in the nursery at church from the time that I was allowed to and was age appropriate to do so. I took the babysitter's course right away. I just always knew that I wanted to be a mom. And I was so drawn to that role, just always knew that in my heart that that's what I wanted. And so I just thought if somebody looked me in the eye and said, no, you can't, I don't know how I would be okay. And so immediately I thought, well, this couple is having that happen to them. There are laws and rules in their state that is not allowing them to have children. And that's devastating and so silly. There are people who, are really willing and to be loving and caring to a child and want that so badly and aren't allowed to. So morally, I just thought I need to sign this. I need to get the word out there and have people know that this is so wrong, that there's like who deems them not to be okay to have a baby. It just sounded so silly to me. So I signed the petition, and then I think like Facebook algorithms just work in a certain way, and I started getting all of these ads on my Facebook for egg donation. And I thought, oh, like I donate blood. I always signed up to be like a stem cell donor. Like if I got in a car crash, I would want my organs to be donated. Like that was always a thing for me. And so, I always thought if somebody came up to me on the road and were like, hey, you're a match and I need a kidney, I would give it to them because I have two. Why do I need it? You know what I mean? So anyways, that was just like part of who I was and my values. And so when I was looking at these ads about egg donation, I thought, oh, I'm going to see what that's like. Like I had never even thought about that. It had never crossed my mind. And so I clicked on the ad. And then, of course, you needed to fill out some information in order to get information. So I did. And then I kind of started creating a profile to understand more about this process and what egg donation was like, what egg donation in Canada was like, what the process looks like. I didn't know anything about it, but I was intrigued and I was interested. So I kind of like half filled out a form online and then moved on with my life. I'm sure like I'm kind of like a squirrel. I just got busy and did something else and closed the tab and whatever. So a little while later, I get a call from somebody who said, hi, Ariana, you filled out a form on our page about thinking about egg donation. I'd love to chat with you and answer any questions you might have. And I thought, oh my goodness. Yeah, cool. Like, so I do have questions. Who donates eggs? Why do they donate? I had all the questions. What does that process look like? How much of your body are you giving? Like, is it like when you give blood and it's just a day, or is it like a process? I don't know anything about it. But what I do know is that I am willing to donate something if somebody needs it. And so I chatted with this woman. She was wonderful and lovely on the phone. And then she said, well, there's a couple, they call them their intended parents. So parents who have signed up with this company to get a potential egg donor and possibly a surrogate. Sometimes companies do both of them. Sometimes they're separate. And so this couple saw your profile and would like to learn more about you. And I thought, oh, well, I don't even know if I'm donating my eggs. Like I was just inquiring. I was just looking up what this was like. So what do you mean? I don't know. And she's like, well, I'd love to get a couple photos of you and have some more information. So I filled out the extra information because I thought, okay, information can't harm. I'm not committing to anything yet. I'm just understanding. I had some questions answered about what the process was like. I learned that, I'd have to give myself injections and it would be a lengthy process because you have to go through many different things before you even get to the medical part of the egg donation. And so again, I was busy with my life. I was selling real estate. I was working lots. I was thinking, you know, I got lots of time. Like I'm not really, it wasn't a priority for me at that point. Well, then the company messaged me back again and said, hey, this couple, the intended parents that I was telling you about, like got the extra information that you filled out, saw your photos, and they think you're the perfect egg donor for them. She said that my values aligned with them because you fill out, why you would think about donating. And I just felt like it's, I have a period every month, right? Like I have an egg flushed down the toilet every month, a potential baby for somebody, really, if I wanted to give them. And obviously, if everything, the stars aligned, they were healthy eggs, all of that. But I just thought, I'm having a period every month. I'm not ready to have a baby myself. Mike and I weren't engaged yet. We were like, we had those talks all the time. But I just felt like I wasn't at that place in my life yet to have a baby, but I knew eventually I would want to. And so why wouldn't I give to somebody who wanted that if I didn't even need to have that at this time? My biggest question was, will donating my eggs impact my fertility in the future? Because obviously that was really important to me. And they said, no, like that, it doesn't have an impact. Like you do have a period every month. And so it won't impact your fertility like later on. And so I kind of was like warming up to the idea. And then I got a letter from the intended parents. So they wrote me a letter together, and then they each wrote, like, had their own separate space where they had photos of each of them. They had baby photos of each of them. They wrote about why they wanted to have a family, why that was important to them, and why they felt connected to me and my profile that I'd filled out. So we had really similar values. We cared about similar things. I look similar to one of the guys. So they were like, oh, then it will kind of look like our child together, which was important to them. And so it just seemed to really line up. Their letter was so beautiful and touching to me. It just kind of felt right. Like, when you get that feeling of like, well, like this was kind of meant to be. So I remember I read the letter. I talked to Mike. I was like, look at this. Like, look at their wedding photos. Look at their baby photos. Like, they're going to be the best parents. They want to have a baby so badly. They've been on this journey trying to find an egg donor. Like, I think I could be that for them. Now, I really wanted this decision to be not just my decision. Like, I wanted it to be a decision of both mine and Mike's, because in my opinion and how I was feeling then was that we wanted to create a family together eventually. We were planning on getting married eventually, and starting a family together. And so I wanted him to be a part of that decision. I also felt like, if we had a baby together, then that baby that I would be donating, or the egg that I would be donating, would kind of be like, the same DNA as Mike's potential kids. And so I just wanted him to be on board. I also knew that I wouldn't be able to give myself injections alone because I'm kind of terrified of needles. And so I would need his help and his support. And after learning about what the process would be like, I knew it was going to be a journey that I would need his support on. And so I wanted it to be a decision that we made together. And so we did. We talked about it a lot. We went through all of the possibilities, all of the things that I was thinking. We talked about how it would affect my health and me. Obviously, he asked about how it would affect like our fertility in the future. And we just discussed how we would feel like emotionally too. And I don't know if it's weird or not, but I just don't feel emotionally like when I donate blood, I'm not like, oh, that person now has like part of me in them. When I donated my breast milk now, like when I had babies, I donated my milk to a few people, and I wasn't like, oh, they have my milk. Like, it's just a thing that I felt good about. And I don't know if that's because that's part of my values, or if I just didn't feel like tied to my eggs. I'm not quite sure, but I have never felt like, oh, that's my baby. It's just something that I did, something that I gave to somebody to have what they wanted. And I feel so blessed and thankful that I was able to be a part of their journey. So I'm so happy with our decision. I'm so glad that Mike was on board. And then we began the process, which, let me tell you, is a wild, wild process. And I also, one of the biggest questions that I get about egg donation, like in Canada, is, oh, did you get paid? And I just want to put a thing out there and let you guys know, egg donation in Canada is not something that you can exchange money for. So I know in other countries and other places, like sometimes that's like a market. Here it's not. You can't get paid to donate your eggs. You can have your expenses reimbursed. So any expenses that I had that pertained to my donation process were paid for. So for instance, when I went in for the surgery to extract the eggs, I needed to stay in a hotel the night before because I didn't live in Toronto. So they paid for that hotel. I was reimbursed for my parking because I had to go into Toronto like 12 out of 14 days for monitoring. And so those things are paid for. So it doesn't cost you anything to donate, but you're not pocketing money, if that makes sense. That's one of the biggest questions that I get when I tell people. So anyways, the process was wild. So I got back in touch with the company. I said, will I be able to talk to this couple? Can I know them? I wouldn't want to donate my eggs to somebody that I didn't know. Later, I learned that only 3% of egg donations are known donations. So where the donor actually will end up being in contact with and know the intended parents. A lot of them, 97%, are anonymous. Wild. I didn't even know. In my mind, I was like, I feel like I wouldn't donate unless I knew them. But again, I think that's just my values and how it kind of aligned and happened. Nothing wrong with anonymously donating at all. It was just something to me that I was like, oh, wow. So the donation process is a little bit lengthy because there's so much work that goes into the background and all of the things leading up to the actual process. So, for instance, I had to have a meeting first with the egg donation company, again, where I asked all of the questions that I might have. I got to chat with the intended parents because that was important to me. Again, that's not for all donations, but I really wanted to chat with them and know who they were and see if I connected with them and felt aligned and not just in a letter, which obviously the letter was really important to me, but talking to them was so nice. So then you go through a few other things and not procedures, but steps. So you're assigned a lawyer. So I had many calls with this lawyer to go through all of the documents in the contract that they have because like I said, some donors are known, some aren't. You get to decide what happens to the other eggs that you donate. So when you donate eggs, they want to extract as many as possible at the right size. Guys, I'm not a doctor. I'm probably not explaining this right at all, but I'm giving you the information that I know and the information that I remember because this is a long time ago. So the injections and things that you're giving yourself are to produce more eggs and to grow them to a certain size. Now they can't be too big, so they want most of them to be the size that are adequate for for fertilizing, I guess. Really, I'm not a doctor. So anyways, everybody's different. Some people might get one egg, some people might get many eggs. I think I had 13 eggs extracted and 8 of them took when they were fertilized. So anyways, when you're doing all of your lawyer forms, you get to choose what will happen to those. So you could choose if the family wanted to have siblings. Obviously, I wanted them to have as many of them as they wanted. And then you can decide if you want what you want to happen to those after. So that's in the contract. There's things about communication in the contract. Like I said, if it's known or unknown donation or anonymous, sorry. There's many different things you decide. The main thing, which I had never thought about until I went through this process, that really the only thing required of me after donation is that when I had my own kids, so when I had the twins and when I had Callie, and if I had any other babies, which I don't plan on, I had to tell the intended parents. And I kind of, when they were telling me this, I was like, oh, interesting. Of course I would tell them, but why? Your Cup of Joy is brought to you by my go-to snack, Humble Potato Chips. Not only are these chips the perfect snack, they are also a female-founded Canadian company. And the owner, Alicia, and her family started their business here in Guelph, Ontario. They are the only certified organic potato chip brand in North America. An even bigger bonus, Humble Potato Chips are sustainable and they are doing good. For every bag of Humble chips sold, they remove the equivalent of 2 bags worth of plastic from nature and the ocean. The team then turns the plastic into eco bricks and are building homes and schools in underprivileged communities. How stinking cool. Enjoy your favorite snack and know that you are doing good when you purchase. Do yourself a favor and mix my 2 favorite flavors, ketchup and barbecue, for the best snack ever. Enjoy. So if my kids and their kid grew up, traveled the world, or went to school at the same school or something, met and didn't know, they shared DNA. So like that would be like incest, I guess, without them knowing. So I had to make them aware, and they would have to make me aware of any children so that we would know and could share that with our kids potentially if we wanted to in future years. So I thought that was so interesting because, again, it was something that I really truly had never thought of at all, but obviously we were fine with. So then you go through all of the lawyer things, you meet with the assigned lawyer to you. Again, it's at no cost to you, but you get to really put in any things that are important to you or just go through the contract. So there was nothing like crazy for me in there. It was kind of just like normal standard things. And then you sign the documents and they sign the documents, and then you get to go to your next step. So then you also have to go through like a full physical. So this might have even been before the lawyer. But you have to go to the doctor, have a full physical. You have to get your blood work taken. You need to find out all of your health history through your family too. So like I had to ask my mom about her fertility, about my grandmother's health, about any of our family, if there was, high blood pressure that ran in the family, really anything that could pertain to this child's health, because genetics are important and that's part of the process. So you have to be like a healthy individual to donate your eggs to, because obviously they want the best outcome for everybody involved. And so that process is timely because you have to book your physical, you have to wait for blood test results, you need to get information from your family. But it was such a cool process for me because I learned so much about my family and the health history that probably I wouldn't have if I didn't go through this, because you're not asking those questions normally. I don't think I wasn't. So that was kind of a neat part of the process, was really understanding our family and all of our health history. And it was also information that was important to me because I knew I would want to have children also in the coming years. And so it was neat for me to learn those things and have those conversations with my family too. So then once all of your health things are passed, then you go into the clinic. So I went into Toronto to a place called Create. And you meet with the doctor there, the nurse there. You again do like a physical. They go through all of your health things. They discuss with you the process. They show you all of the things that you will be taking, like how to give yourself these needles, what and when you're going to be taking them. And you also see a therapist or like psychiatrist that is provided by them, because they want to make sure that you're also mentally in a good space, which I really love that they do that, because it is a big thing that you're doing. You're donating your eggs to a family, like you're creating life. And so I think you have to be in a good mindset for that, and also know that you're prepared to do that it's not going to affect you. Because for some people, it might be like super impactful or feel weird or different to them. So, you go through that, you discuss and chat with them. And then once you pass that, then you get ready for the actual process of egg donation. So they give you all of your medications, your injections. They show you how to do it. It's like a little bit complicated because I am not a medical person. I do not feel comfortable around needles. And so you have to also like mix them. Like you're using syringes and different needles. They're giving you the box for disposal. Like now that I think back on it, it is actually a wild process. And thank goodness I had Mike because like I said, I'm not good with that. But it worked out fine because it was totally good. I knew what to do. They explain everything. You can ask questions like 100 times. I got her to show me like many, many times because I didn't really know what to do. Now, you don't start giving yourself injections until you're at the perfect timing. So you actually have to go on birth control to get your cycle regulated to know like when you're going to for sure start the process and when your retrieval date will be. So I hadn't been on birth control since like high school. And when I was on birth control in high school, it really messed up my body. I did not feel good on birth control. So it was a low dose birth control. It was fine. I think I went on it for 2 or 3 months to really get my cycle like normal, to know when I was ovulating, all of those things. So then they time it perfectly. And then you start your injections. So like I said, they show you how to do it. I got her to show me like so many times because I didn't want to mess it up. And you have to take them in like a timely manner. There's a whole schedule. Um, and it's pretty intense because like I said, you're injecting yourself like a couple times a day. Um, almost every day or every other day of this like 2-week period, I had to go in for an internal ultrasound and monitoring because they want to see the growth of the eggs. They want to see how many eggs you have, and they want to measure them and make sure that they're healthy and good. So I was driving into Toronto so often. I was being monitored all the time. So it is a process in that regard. 2 weeks isn't that long, but you are, going to the clinic often. I live in Guelph, so it was a bit of a drive, a bit of a commitment. There are other things that were not anticipated to me either. So, like, you don't want to drink a lot of water. You want to drink a lot of Gatorade and also eat lots of salty foods like cured meats and chips and stuff because there's something, again, don't quote me, I'm not a doctor, but there's something where I think it's like I don't know. It's where the eggs become too big and that can be harmful and scary. And so you don't want that to happen. And so you can control that a little bit by diet, and by having a lot of Gatorade. I didn't want to look at Gatorade or cured meat after that process for a long time. Once you start getting closer to the extraction date, you have so many eggs and they're getting so big that I remember like every step walking was so uncomfortable because it almost feels like your period a little bit, where these eggs are just like waiting to come out, I guess. So I did the injections. I followed the eating requirements, things that they said to do. I did gain a lot of weight. I think you also retain a lot of water. I think I gained like 30 pounds or something wild like that. Because it's a lot of hormones. It's a lot of things you're putting into your body to make it like the perfect amount of eggs, the perfect size for everything to line up perfectly. So anyways, it was a process. Then we went into Toronto the night before. So like your last shot that you give yourself is like the trigger or something like that. And I think that like releases the eggs. So it's a bigger needle. It's a bigger shot. You do that. They tell you when they're monitoring and when the eggs are the right size, they'll tell you when to do it. And then the next day we went into Toronto. Mike came with me overnight. And that's when you have the extraction. So you do go under like a general anesthetic, I think, for them to extract. So they do another internal ultrasound. It's like very medical, obviously. We stayed overnight in a hotel there to like be there in time and to make sure that we were recovered. And that's when we got to meet in person our intended parents. So it was a really special time. They came to town. They actually live in Calgary. So they were in Toronto and we got to see them, meet them, have a meal with them. We had dinner with them and it was so nice getting to know them. And it's just a time that I'll never forget because I just think they're the most incredible people. And it was so neat to be able to spend time with them and to see their excitement and their joy. Like I remember how happy Mike and I were when we found out we were pregnant. And so this journey for them was obviously stressful, but exciting too, I think. And it was really nice to to just get to know them and visit with them and spend time with them. And part of the reason, obviously, why we donated. So um, that was a beautiful process. Then I had never had surgery or gone under before. So that was weird to me. I like didn't know what to anticipate. I didn't know what it would be like. It was super easy. It was super chill. Everybody was so kind and so nice. And Mike was with me, which was so great. I do have like a really hilarious selfie on my phone because I I guess like when I was like woke up and was like woozy or whatever, I thought the most appropriate thing to do would be to take selfies. And then once I was done the surgery and got back, I looked at my phone and I was like, Mike, why did you take these photos of me? I was like kind of rattled. And he was like, I did not, you did. And then you showed all the nurses the pictures on your phone. I was like, oh my goodness, mortified. Anyways, so then recovery was like super easy. I was totally fine after that. I didn't really feel a difference or anything. I went off of birth control after that again because I was only on it for the donation process. And then that was that. Then I kept in contact with the intended parents to hear about their surrogacy journey because, you know, egg donation is just one part. And then they still have to find a surrogate. That's a difficult, long, costly process that I'm sure they'll tell us more about next week too. I'm going to interview them so that they can share their experience and their story too. But yeah, it was just like such a wild experience. I was so excited and so happy for them. It didn't impact me like too much. Like I said, it was like 2 weeks of the injections. That was a little bit tough. Gaining weight was like a little bit not like so fun for me, but fine. Like a sacrifice I was willing to make for somebody to have a family that they wanted. And so, yeah, then we stayed in contact with them. We stayed in touch. I remember when they got a surrogate and when they told us that they were pregnant, and I was so excited for them. And then they kept us up to date the whole time. So, because it was a known donation, I got to understand and hear about their process and learn what was happening and how the pregnancy was going, which was so incredible and so awesome because I was so excited and happy for them. And then we had such an incredible experience. So when the surrogate gave birth, the couple actually came. I think they were in Oshawa, the surrogate. So the parents came to the hospital. They got to like be a part, have the baby with them as soon as the baby was born. They said it was so special for them. I'm sure that they will share more about that when Austin is here next week. But um, it was so neat because they invited us to come and meet the baby. So Mike and I got to drive over and meet Maya when she was born. And it was just the most incredible moment. I look back at those photos sometimes and just think, how cool, you know, that they want to raise her to know her entire birth story, to know that she was a baby who is so wanted and, you know, who they just wanted to have in their life so badly and now do. They are the best parents. Um, we get to FaceTime, we get to see each other, and whenever we go to Calgary or when they come here, we do get to see each other. So Mike and I went to Calgary with Callie just a little while ago, and so we got to spend some time with them, which was so special to see her now all grown up. Um, and it's just been a cool process. And then when we got pregnant and when we had our kids, we got to share that with them. And it's just been so special to watch their family grow and to progress and see what they're doing in the world, and vice versa. So it was such a neat experience, something that I'm so grateful to have been able to be a part of, and something that I wanted to share because I think that it's something that not a lot of people know what the process is like. I didn't before I embarked on that journey. And it's something that people can do. So for this couple, it was awesome for them to know that, you know, they wanted to have a family and that they could. And of course there are barriers. There are things that we'll talk about next week that come into play. Finances is a huge part. Timeliness is a huge part. Finding a willing donor and a willing surrogate, difficult. Um, Someone who you align with and your values align with and you feel comfortable with. I think that's like a huge piece too. And so if you are somebody who is interested in egg donation, I'll maybe tag some places that you can learn more information from. The places that I visited. So Create was the place where I donated my eggs. The company I donated them through is called Egg Helpers. So those are two places that you can check out for more information too. And then stay tuned for next week where I get to talk to Austin about their process. And I'm sure they'll have way more information because the egg donation is just only my role in that whole process for them, and they had many people who contributed a role in their process to having their baby. So stay tuned for that. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out anytime. It's something that I'm so happy to share, my experience. And something else I want to note is my experience might look so different from somebody else's experience, and so um just know that too. It does look different for people. Um, like I said, being a known donor is not common. I remember when I met the doctor before the extraction. So you meet the doctor for like the first time, the guy who's going to do your extraction, or girl, just before. So he came in to, like, the nurse had done my ultrasound. She had looked and she had said, okay, I think that they're close to, the size that they need to be. So I'm just going to grab the doctor. So he comes in. I remember he was like, looked at me, and, he's got like a wand up you, like they're doing an internal ultrasound. And he just looked at me and was like, oh, so you're donating your eggs? I was like, yeah, like, um, the couple is really excited. Like, I'm so happy to be a part of their journey. And he looked at me, like he stopped and looked straight up at me. And I was like, am I in trouble? And he's like, they know you? And I was like, well, we've met like online now. I hope to meet them soon and we stay in touch. And he's like, did you know only 3% of donations are known? Like, he's going off at me about that. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I don't know if I would have donated if I didn't know them. Like, that was just kind of part of the process for me. And he just like went back to what he was doing. But I remembered in that moment, like, whoa, I guess not everybody donates like to be known, which again is so cool and totally fine. Like, the fact that people are willing to donate and to do it anonymously because they know that they can help, like, that's so impactful and neat too. So yeah, if you have questions, again, please feel free to reach out. I'll post a little thing on social media too at Your Cup of Joy, maybe a question box when this episode comes out, and then we can answer some of the questions in Austin's episode too. And yeah, I'm just so thankful to be able to share this journey with you. The reasoning behind sharing, like I said, is just to get people to understand and to know that they're not alone. If you are somebody who is looking for an egg donor, you're not alone. If you're somebody who is thinking about donating your eggs, you're not alone. And if you're somebody who is struggling with fertility or with starting a family, you also aren't alone. And that looks different for everybody and can look different in so many different ways. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being such a supporting community. I hope that people can connect after this too, who are going through this, and who can feel supported through their journey to parenthood or to donation or in surrogacy. So thanks again for listening. I'm so grateful to be able to share this journey with you. And like I said, it's something that uh, is just so incredible. I remember meeting Maya and thinking how cool that this family now has a baby and that we could be a part of it. And for Mike and I, it's just something that we'll always remember and that we'll share with our kids someday. And that I just feel grateful to be a part of. So thanks again.